If you're watching this from Europe or anywhere else outside the United States and you're thinking, why is the US real estate so hot? Is it really that good? Well, I'm gonna tell you, I'm moving my business also to the United States. I'm expanding there as well. I've already talked about in other different videos, and in this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly why I think US real estate is one of the best markets to invest and build up your business over there. Okay, let's start with the first reason, low entry prices. Of course, if you go to New York, Miami, LA, forget about it. But if you go to the Midwest, such like Detroit, Columbus or Cleveland, you can find properties with prices, listing prices of $100,000 or $150,000. This is not strange. You can find good, decent properties, especially in Cleveland or Detroit, for $150,000. This is still like a reasonable price, and I'm not talking about like small little places. I'm talking about actually like a property that has a garage, like a 2-3 bedroom with 2 bathrooms, for example, for like $120,000, $150,000. Where else in first world country can you find these kind of prices and in a major city? So I'm not talking about like in the middle of nowhere where nobody wants to live. And of course you can say, yeah, I don't want to live in Cleveland or in Columbus or Detroit, but these are still like major cities. These are not small villages where nobody lives. So for me, I was surprised to find out that these cities still have these lower entry points. Of course, you have to watch out which neighborhoods you're buying in, but you can find like, especially in Cleveland or Detroit, in decent neighborhoods, still $150,000 properties. So this is for me very interesting because yeah, you just need less money and you can already start your investing journey instead of like these higher markets. For example, $150,000. In Amsterdam, maybe you can find a parking garage for that kind of money. Then the second reason is high cash flow with long-term rentals. I'm not talking about high cash flow from Airbnb, room rentals, this kind of strategies. Just like a simple long-term rental, placing a tenant in there for long-term and have high rental yields. Of course, again, it depends which market you're looking at, but in the Midwest, you can get returns above 10%. So for long-term rentals, gross returns above 10%, I mean, that's kind of difficult in Europe. Like I would say almost impossible to find these kind of returns for long-term rentals, especially above 10%. You have to do like short-term rentals to get these kind of similar returns. And you have a lot of overhead cost and a lot of maintenance and repairs compared to a long-term rental, of course. So that's why another strong reason, long-term rentals, high cash flow and good returns. Then the third reason is regulation. So in many states you have pro-landlord states. So these are, for example, Ohio, Texas, or Michigan. These are pro-landlord states and mostly leaning towards Republicans. These states have regulations that are pro-landlord. So listen very good, pro-landlord. So fast eviction, easy to get the tenant out, no rental cap, no regulation, lower taxes. So everything that's more beneficial for landlords instead of for the tenants. Where in Europe you see everything is almost pro-tenant. You have like no short-term rental contracts almost. You have tenant protections, rental caps. You name it. There's like a lot of things going on in Europe that the tenants are protected and make it more riskier for the landlord, for the investor to go on these long leases, because you don't know who's going to get in your property, and then you have to pay a lot of taxes. They have a lot of rights. You cannot kick them out easily. So in the United States, you have these pro-landlord states. Of course, if you go to California, it's going to be almost similar to here. But if you go to Texas, it's going to be very easy to evict this tenant that's not going to pay your rent. And then people can say, oh, it's sorry for the tenant, but hey, we as an investor, first of all, we buy the house as an investment, and we're not there to give social housing. That's a government's job. They should provide for people that cannot allow or cannot afford to pay the rent. The government should intervene and help these kind of people. This is not the job of the landlords to subsidize housing. So for anyone that's saying like, oh, you should help the tenant, of course, we're not gonna kick them out after 5 days of not paying rent. I'm talking about cases that people are not paying rent for 3-4 months, destroy the property, they're like on purposely not paying the rent, and still in many countries it's hard to kick them out. So in my opinion, you should go for places where it's easy to evict these kind of people that on purpose are trying to manipulate the system and using your generosity as a landlord to not pay the rent. The next one is financing. I made a whole separate video about financing real estate in the United States. It's called DSCR loans for foreign investors. Just short and brief, a DSCR loan stands for debt service coverage loan. They can give a loan to value up to 80 or 70%. And then the good thing is they only look at the cash flow of the property. They don't look at your debt to income ratio. So you don't have to have US income or US credit score. Just the cash flow of this property is sufficient. So that's about financing. If you want to know more about it, check out the other video because I will explain in more details what a DSCR loan is and what you need to do to get it. And the next one is refinancing. So in the United States, you can refinance a property very easily. It's very common. And in Spain, it's way more difficult, almost not possible to refinance a property. So in the United States, you can use the BRRRR strategy. This stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. So you buy a property, fix it up, then rent it out, and then you refinance and pull out the equity, and you can do it over again. So it's way easier to scale your portfolio because you can use financing and pull out that equity to grow your portfolio more. Then the next one is multiple investment strategies are used in the United States. Let's go over them. So the first one is flip houses. This is also common in Europe. Just buy a property, renovate, and sell it. Then the next one is wholesaling properties, and this is where the US stands out in my opinion. So you get a property under contract and then you sell it to another investor, the contract, with an assignment fee. So you don't even own the property, you just get it under contract with a seller and then you sell it for a higher price to an end investor with an assignment fee. And this is a whole business in the United States. You can get easily like an assignment fee of $10,000 up to $50,000, even more. And in Europe, this is not very common. I know in the Netherlands a few people do this, but it's a very small percentage of investors. In Spain, I've never met someone that actually wholesale properties. And in the United States, if you check any Facebook group, there are like a lot of wholesalers. It's a very common. It's actually like almost a job to be a wholesaler. So, and the good thing is you don't need that much money down to get a property under contract. You just need a couple of $1,000s to start wholesaling. So this is a very good investment strategy to wholesale real estate. And this, in my opinion, where the United States stands out. Then the next one is seller financing. So an owner has a property debt-free and he's going to basically be the lender towards you instead of having a traditional bank that finances the property. So you negotiate with the owner. For example, you put 10% down and the owner finances the rest. Instead of you're paying off the bank, you're paying off the owner with a monthly payment and a monthly interest rate. This is when the property is debt-free. If there's a debt on it, there's another mortgage, you use sub 2. This is a whole other different strategy. I'm not very that familiar with it, so I'm not gonna go too much in detail, but check out sub 2. This is another investment strategy that is seller financing where there is a lender involved. It's called sub 2. It's very popular also in the United States. This is like you can sell a property, basically like, kind of like a semi-realtor, but you're not a real estate agent. You help the owner to sell the property on the MLS, on the real estate market, without actually owning the property. So in the United States, you have multiple different investment strategies that are, like different than in Europe. You have more strategies that you can use. And there's just more ways to make money. In the end, it's a bigger business, a bigger industry. So in the United States, there are multiple investment strategies, and it means that there's multiple ways of making money. So it's easier to do more deals, it's easier to get financing, to refinance, to scale your portfolio, and just to get started into real estate in the United States. And the last reason can be diversification. If you own a lot of real estate or your main income is in Europe and you earn euro currency and you want to diversify, to get dollar and to have assets in the United States is a good balance to diversify and not only focusing on one continent and only one currency, but get income from different currencies and have assets in different countries, so you're less dependent on one economy or just one continent. So if the euro is going down and the dollar is going up, yeah, then you have like this counterbalance that's going on. So let's do a quick recap why you should buy in the United States. First, low entry prices, high cash flow, easy financing, pro landlord states. United States is made for entrepreneurs, it's made for business people. If you want to make money, if you want to buy real estate, this is just one of the best countries in the world for that. Exactly why I'm expanding my business, why I'm going to invest in the United States myself, and why I want to help foreigners to buy in the United States, because I believe it's one of the best markets to buy real estate, and I think it's the best market for me personally to grow, and eventually for my clients to grow there as well. So I'm excited to bring you guys on this journey. If you like this kind of videos, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and thank you for watching. See you next time, or maybe in the United States.